In January 2015, a group of New Zealand film students were recording outside their school at Auckland's Parnell railway station. The footage you're seeing now was recorded by a student named Chris Meir. For a few minutes, Chris and his friends were messing around and having fun as they filmed. But that's when the group spotted a man and a woman wearing creepy white masks, hiding in the tall grass next to the station and staring ominously at the camera. As it was later revealed, Chris and his buddies first thought that the masked people were probably pranksters from the school trying to creep them out, which is why they can be heard laughing throughout the footage. However, the students later confessed that it was more so nervous laughter, and that they were actually pretty terrified during the encounter. Disturbingly, looking at the footage, they noticed that the couple appeared to be armed. In some of the clips, it looks like one of them is holding a pistol.
Where's the other one? Where's the other one? Where's him?
As soon as the suspects got a little too close for comfort, the group ran back to the main road, after which they reportedly saw a police chopper approaching the area of the incident. It's not entirely clear who called the cops that day, but based on my research, this wasn't the first time the couple had harassed the public with their creepy masks and weapons. Earlier that week, they had terrorized a woman at Auckland's Domain Park, but left before the police were able to arrest them. When the cops arrived at the train station, Chris and his friends gave them the report, after which the Auckland Police Department uploaded a Facebook post where they urged the suspects to come forward and warned civilians to stay far away from the masked couple if they saw them. They also cautioned that if they saw someone carrying what appeared to be a weapon, they had no way of knowing if the weapon was real or fake, and would be forced to approach the situation as if it were real. Shortly after that, the suspects reportedly came forward to talk to the cops. Throughout the investigation, the authorities didn't release a whole lot of information to the public about who these people were, whether their weapons were real or what their intentions were. But one thing we know for sure is that this wasn't just an innocent prank. In fact, when a lot of people online started accusing the students of staging a prank just to get attention, a spokesperson from the school came forward to clarify that the masked suspects had nothing to do with the institute. According to an article from Vice, a police spokesperson later confirmed that the weapons were fake, but I wasn't able to find any official confirmation of this, and to this day, not a lot of people know who the suspects were or why they were terrorizing the public for no reason. Whatever the case, it's a good thing Chris and his friends were able to get away before things took a turn for the worse. Near the base of Mount Fuji in Japan lies a forest that's known among the locals as the Sea of Trees. Interestingly, the entire forest grew out of a 30-square-kilometer patch of hardened lava that was laid down by the last major eruption of Mount Fuji. A little more disturbingly, though, over the years the Sea of Trees has become known as a place where people go to take their own lives, and if you venture far enough into the forest, it's not uncommon at all to find a body. Near the entrance of the forest, a sign written in Japanese reads, "Quietly think once more about your parents, siblings and children. Please don't suffer alone and first reach out." In July 2017, urban explorer and YouTuber Burbex ventured into the forest to see what he'd find, walking his viewers through his entire journey into the Sea of Trees. But even though the video starts out tame enough, just a few minutes into his exploration, the uploader comes across an abandoned bike, and that's when things get a little disturbing.
I'm only a few meters away from the road right now, but I've already found an abandoned bike, It's actually a pretty nice bike. Let's take a look at it. I don't think it's been here a long time. What have we got in here? And there's a packet for a knife. I think I've just found some kind of note in a bag. It says 1211. I can't quite make out. I think this is somebody's name just here. And I'm not sure what this means.
On top of the bike, Burbex finds an empty piece of packaging for a kitchen knife, and a few minutes later he comes across the note written on a plastic bag. The note translates to 1211 verified, Fuji Yosha police station verified, meaning it's likely evidence of someone who abandoned their stuff to take their own life in the forest, confirmed by the local police station. It's incredibly haunting to think how many lives have been lost in that forest over the years, and even more disturbing to think that any random passerby could easily find the body while exploring the terrain. Over the years, the Japanese government has implemented several measures, such as placing security cameras near the entrance to track those who walk inside, as well as training volunteers to talk to the visitors who are thinking of taking their lives. Still, this hasn't stopped people from following through, and the fact that the media has really played a big part in sensationalizing the forest in recent years hasn't helped either. In early 2023, a man named David Meredith was taking his usual evening stroll through his neighborhood in Red Deer, Canada, when he suddenly saw a bull moose eating next to a tree. Hoping to catch a better glimpse, he hid behind the tree to watch, and that's when the moose turned around and started charging at him. To understand how incredibly dangerous this is, keep in mind that an adult male moose can run faster than 35 miles per hour, which is almost twice as fast as the max speed for the average human male. Even though moose aren't generally aggressive, they can easily trample and kill a human if they feel threatened, which is probably what happened here. Fearing for his life, David hoisted himself up the tree next to him to avoid getting stabbed by the moose's antlers.
He just ran me up a tree.
As soon as he was out of the moose's reach, he started recording. For about 30 seconds, the moose just stares at David, and you can hear the uploader's nervous breathing as he waits for the moose to leave. But shortly after, the moose starts charging back and forth with its head down, which is a clear sign that it's stressed and would probably kill David if he were to come down or fall from the tree. Based on what he mentioned to the news station that interviewed him a couple of days later, David stayed in the tree for over 10 minutes waiting for the moose to leave him alone. When asked how he climbed up the tree, he demonstrated how he pulled himself up by a flimsy-looking branch, which is honestly one of the most concerning parts of this whole situation. Had that branch broken, David would have been at the mercy of a very angry moose and might not have lived to tell the tale. Luckily, after seeing that David wasn't coming down, the moose finally gave up and ran off, thanks to which the uploader was able to come down safely after waiting it out for around an extra half hour. In February 2018, a man named Greg Harris uploaded a GoPro video of himself riding his ATV on an unnamed trail. For the first few seconds, the footage shows pretty much exactly what you'd expect from this kind of upload. But in the blink of an eye, something extremely disturbing interrupts Greg's ATV ride. If you didn't catch it, someone had set up a metal wire between the two trees, which got caught in the uploader's helmet and forced him to stop. It's pretty disturbing to think that if Greg hadn't been so lucky, he could have been decapitated by the wire. Fortunately, as mentioned in the video description, his speed along with the wire hitting his helmet instead of his neck caused it to break as he passed through it. It might seem shocking that anyone would even think of doing something as incredibly evil as setting up a lethal booby trap in the middle of an ATV trail, but sadly it's actually pretty common in the dirt bike and ATV community. Sometimes these wires are set up by people trying to keep bikers off their property, others are set up by psychos who get irritated by the noise and decide to use violence to fix the issue, and the rest are set up by people who are just messed up in the head and want to bring harm to others for no reason. In this case, it's impossible to tell who is responsible for setting up the trap. This is just one of those videos where if the wire was set up just slightly lower, the accident could have easily been fatal. Luckily, he was able to walk away with minimal injuries, and he used his video as a way to warn others to watch out for these kinds of traps, especially when riding through trees. Back in the summer of 2014, a man named Chris was biking in the mountains near Fernie, British Columbia, when he suddenly noticed what appeared to be an animal approaching him in the tall grass. Immediately, he realized it was a mountain lion, and that's when he started recording.
I don't know if you can see it. There's a mountain lion. He's crouching in the grass. He's actually coming towards me.
At first, it's kind of hard to see where exactly the animal is, but as Chris walks towards the trail, you can see it emerging from the grass coming closer.
That is a mountain lion. And he's stalking me.
Even though mountain lion sightings are rare, they have been known to attack people in certain situations. And let's just say if you see one stalking you in the tall grass, slowly approaching as it stares you down, you can be pretty certain that you're in danger. About 2 minutes into the footage, the lion starts walking a little faster, and Chris does the one thing you never do with a mountain lion by turning his back and starting to run.
Hey, Mr. Mountain Lion. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I am much bigger than you.
Over the next couple of minutes, Chris tries to get the animal to go away, but it only walks around him and continues to stalk him, staring him down in the tall grass near the entrance to the woods. A couple of minutes later, the uploader manages to take a few steps toward the main trail back to his car, but he doesn't get too far before the mountain lion cuts him off again.
Stay back. Stay there. I'm not afraid of you.
Fortunately, after a few moments of tension, the mountain lion turns around and disappears into the trees. Being in a position like that has to be downright terrifying, especially when you consider that the only reason the lion didn't attack was because it didn't want to, and had it felt more threatened, it easily could have done some serious damage. Thankfully, it was just a close call, and Chris was able to walk away from the terrifying encounter unharmed. In March 2019, a 5-year-old girl from Fair Lawn, New Jersey, was playing with her friends near a creek in a wooded area behind her home, right off Route 208. This was an area the family knew very well, as they had been living there for 13 years, and the girl's father, Dave Carota, and his wife felt completely safe letting their kid play in the woods behind their house. But at some point during that particular afternoon, the girl came across a pile of clothing in the woods, after which she immediately ran back to tell her dad what she had found. Strangely, the clothes appeared to have been cut off a person's body, and there were suspicious red stains all over the tattered, shredded outfit. After confirming the bundle consisted only of woman's clothing, Dave called the Bergen County Sheriff's Office and reported the incident, feeling like it was just too out of the ordinary for a random pile of cut-up clothes to appear near the entrance of the woods so close to his home. Even though this was the first time their daughter saw the clothes, it appeared they had been in the woods for several months, which explained some of the excessive wear and tear, but not the suspicious cuts and stains all over the outfit. Immediately, Fair Lawn Police started asking the public if they could identify the clothes, hoping that it was just a prank rather than something more sinister. Unfortunately, nobody came forward, and until the clothes can be linked to some sort of crime or to a victim, they can't be accepted for testing by the police department. To this day, the cops from the Fair Lawn Police Department haven't been able to match the clothing to anyone in particular. And at this point, all we can do is hope that whoever those clothes belonged to did not come to the harrowing fate that the dark reddish stains imply.